To this one, either Marist or Siena will be in tomorrow's round of 4. Those brackets brought to you by GHI, and so the Saints and the Red Foxes will battle for that last spot in the Final Four. Welcome back, everybody. Along with Rob Kennedy, this is Doug Sherman. Upstate battle. These two teams, as we talked about earlier, Rob, traditionally haven't liked each other. There was bad blood some 20 years ago in this history, and so far, there's no reason to think we won't see anything like that tonight.
And you know what happens when rivals play? Throw everything out. These teams split in the regular season, each team winning on the other team's home court, so this is going to be a terrific game.
All right, Nick Eppheimer is the leading scorer for the Red Foxes. He reached his average in yesterday's game against Canisius with 17. Very steady.
Steady, and now starting to step it up coming down the stretch. He went over the 1,000-point mark the other night against Canisius. He's been solid all year long.
Meanwhile, the go-to guy for Siena is Prosper Karangwa. He makes this team go.
Especially when he went to the point guard spot. He gave a little bit of his scoring up to now be the guy to get everybody else going. He has been a huge, big guard for them, getting things going offensively from the point.
Our keys to the game brought to you by HSBC, the world's local bank. First, what do the Saints need to do?
They got to make sure they don't allow penetration inside and then kicking it out to three. Marist loves the three-point shot, and they got to make do on the backboards. The best rebounding team in the league, they got to go get it off the boards. And then from Marist, they need some threes in transition as well. They love to run and spot up from three, and then their post players have to show up. They didn't the other night, combining for just 10 points, did Handy and Young. They're going to need a lot more for them tonight against a very tall and talented Siena team.
The winner of this one gets Fairfield in the semifinals tomorrow. When we come back, the starting lineups in the opening tip between Siena and Marist on the MAAC Television Network. This game is brought to you in part by the Pepsi-Cola Company, the joy of Pepsi. By GHI, healthcare coverage from A to Z. HSBC, the world's local bank. FYE for your entertainment, music, movies, games, and more. And by JetBlue Airways. It's not the only way to fly, but it should be. At Sovereign Bank Arena in Trenton, New Jersey, 6th-seeded Marist against 3rd-seeded Siena coming up in a moment. Let's take a look at today's starting lineups brought to you by I Love New York. Show your love for New York State. Brendan Copes, the surprise in the starting lineup tonight for the Red Foxes. Nick Eppheimer, Dennis Young, David Bennett, Brandon Ellerby. Meanwhile, for Siena, the Saints will line up with Prosper Karangwa in the backcourt, along with Antoine Jordan and Tommy Mitchell, Justin Miller and Michael Haddix on the inside for the Saints, who come in with a 5-game winning streak, an 18-9 record overall. Meanwhile, Marist has a 13-15 record after the win last night against Canisius. Siena's head coach Rob Lanier in his 2nd season, a graduate of St. Bonaventure University, and Dave McGarity from St. Francis of Pennsylvania has put together a long list of accomplishments at Marist in his 17 years in Poughkeepsie. We are set for basketball. Justin Miller, Dennis Young at the center circle here at Sovereign Bank Arena, and Siena with the first possession of the night. Antoine Jordan misfires. Brandon Ellerby with the rebound. These two teams split their games during the regular season, as Rob mentioned before. Marist won at Albany, Siena won at Poughkeepsie. And there is the defensive rebounding. Haddix and Karangwa, their top 2 rebounders after the glass.
And both those guys do a terrific job. Karangwa with the deep 3.
Antoine Jordan, another one of the undersized rebounders that we see in the league, who really gets after it. Ellerby picks up the foul, and it'll be Siena basketball underneath.
And they rebound as a team. The top 15 in the country in rebounding margin, because it's not just their post players, but their guards. They have such big guards that are able to get in and clear the glass as well.
Jordan averages over 5 per game in relatively few minutes, and he's only about 6'4". Mitchell from the corner for 3. He connects, and the Saints are on the board first.
He has been playing great basketball since Karangwa moved to the point, averaging over 16 points per game. They took him out off the basketball, and now he's able to create some more shots for himself.
Ellerby and Bennett in the backcourt for the Red Foxes. Bennett strong on Jordan. The foul, and Bennett who is a master at getting to the line where he is very efficient, will head to the line to shoot 2.
91%, you're right. He puts his head down. He's very aggressive. Deceptively quick first step. In the win against Siena, he and Ellerby went wild, combining for 45 points, most of those in the second half. That was a game in which Siena had a big lead in that second half before Marist came back and stormed back for the win up in Albany.
Bennett finished with 25 points in that game. And with that flourish that he had late in the season, he solidified his spot on the third-team All-MAAC squad.
And it was a flourish, including 44 the game we had against St. Peter's up in Bridgeport.
Jump ball, Brandon Copes, Justin Miller, Michael Haddix after the loose ball. And on the alternate possession arrow, it'll stay at this end for the Red Foxes. Dave McGarity kneels down and will watch the action. Here's Eppeheimer. The average is 17 per game. Dennis Young working on Haddix. He missed it. Rebound, Tommy Mitchell.
Haddix doing a terrific job defensively on the boards. He's been a huge presence in his freshman season.
Miller and Copes banging on the low post, and Copes is going to be whistled for the personal foul.
Again, the surprise start, especially considering the type of game that Carl Hood had last night when he got the start, a career-high 20 for Dave McGarity's team on 9 of 13 field goals, yet he finds himself on the bench.
And Copes, the senior walk-on from Windsor Lakes, Connecticut, is on the starting lineup. Here's Michael Haddix. Miller tips no. Miller gets it back and fights his way to the basket, only to miss again and get the ball back, and then the foul.
That's been Siena all season long, getting it done on the offensive glass. They average 15 offensive rebounds per game.
And Miller, during the player introductions before the game, drew the wrath of the student section here. A lot of folks down from Poughkeepsie over in back violation. Coach Lanier is saying that Eppeheimer touched the ball, but he is going to lose that argument. Bennett, Ellerby, Copes, Young, and Eppeheimer on the floor for the Red Foxes. 3-0, Siena with the lead. The only point so far off a Tommy Mitchell three-pointer. And Marist continues to struggle. 17:45 left to go here in the first half.
You see, though, the Red Foxes trying to establish some type of an interior scoring game.
Michael Haddix on the all-freshman team with his first 2.
And he'll give you interior scoring, huh? He's become their go-to guy inside, averaging over 14 points per game. In the top 10 in the league in both points and rebounds. A terrific freshman year.
And I would imagine he's got friends and family members from his hometown of Philadelphia here in Trenton, not far away. Copes in the corner. Miller gives him plenty of room, not anticipating the walk-on to shoot. Here is Copes posting. Still not looking to shoot, just looking to pass with 5 on the shot clock. Now Bennett will have to force it up. Actually gets a pretty good look, but missed it badly. And a shot clock violation. The shot did not hit iron. I was surprised that the defense didn't step out further on Bennett, knowing his reputation and with the shot clock down.
I don't think they realized how late they were in the shot clock.
The Red Foxes still looking for their first points. 5-0 Siena. Haddix draws the double team, steps through it, and gets his second bucket. 4 for the freshman.
He does such a great job of shaping up in a low post. He makes himself big by getting down and creating space inside. It's refreshing to see a guy who wants to go score it inside. Too many times you see post players trying to step out and play on the wing. Haddix, he's content to go get them inside.
And not only wants to do it, he's good at it. And then the steal. Karangwa had it knocked away by Ellerby. Eppeheimer had it knocked away by Karangwa. Jordan, however, he did save it, but Siena calls a timeout. Rob Lanier didn't like what he saw, so the timeout. So indeed, Jordan did save it. And with 16:14 on the clock, Siena on top 7-0. And Rob Lanier talks to his ball club.
You saw in the picture there before, Prosper Karango smiling. Talking to Rob Lanier this afternoon, he said, you know what, he's finally having fun again. And I've realized that when he's having fun and loosey-goosey, that's when he's at his best. And certainly his personality, not that of a natural-born leader. And now all of a sudden, with Mitchell and Haddix stepping up and taking some of the spotlight away from him, he's thrived with that.
Karango told me earlier this week that he has finally realized how to just be happy and enjoy the game, as opposed to having too much pressure put on himself. And that's pretty much what the story of his junior season was, until they got to the MAAC tournament, when he really blossomed and seemed to shed all of those problems a year ago right now up in Albany.
And then the expectations just jumped up again when he tagged 31 on Alcorn State in the first round of the NCAA tournament, with the entire country watching the play-in game. So he's had to deal with those expectations, not just this entire season, but they really started in the tournament run last year.
And a two-time member of the Canadian national team, hopes to play in the Olympics next year. Haddix with a great spin move around Handy. He's got 6.
The quickness of Haddix. You think about how big and strong he is. You forget that he's a very good athlete, terrific footwork inside.
15:40 left to go first half. 9-0 Siena. The Red Foxes 0 for 4 from the floor. Handy tries to answer back to Haddix. Can't do it. The pass knocked out of bounds by Miller. And the Red Foxes will have the ball when we come back. It's a shutout. Siena 9, Marist nothing. 15:30 left to go. Michael Haddix has been the catalyst here on the MAAC Television Network. The 2003 Golf Championship is back at Disney's Wide World of Sports Complex in Orlando, Florida. April 25th through the 27th. The best golfers from around the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference will convene at Magnolia Golf Course. Contact Anthony Travel at 1-800-736-6377 or go online at anthonytravel.com. And so far it's been all Michael Haddix and the Siena Saints. They lead Marist 9-0.
Oh, he's getting it done inside, shapes up, he sits down, and when the basketball is thrown into him, he's able to score inside. He's finishing very strong coming down the stretch. He's had 3 straight double-doubles, out to a big scoring burst here to get things going for the Saints.
And there are those in Albany who believe that he will easily be the best low-post player in Siena history. Lee Matthews was a guy in the early 90s, and Steve McCoy in the late 80s, who helped Siena to the NCAA tournament and knock off Stanford back in '89. But Haddix has that kind of makeup. Hood gets off the bench and gets the Red Foxes on the board. That's their first basket. And Hood, who has had some tremendous games late in the season, didn't get the start tonight, but he comes off the bench and immediately makes an impact.
Had a big start last night. 16 of his 20 points were in the first half. Gives him good energy. He's a good athlete. Marist mixing it up now, going zone.
Karango from the corner. Haddix with a rebound, but it's taken away by Ellerby. Here's Hood. Back out front, Eppeheimer wide open. He hits the 3, and just like that, it's 9-5.
And that's what happens with Marist. They make 3-point shots, even in transition, even though it's not a full break, a little secondary break. You got to get out and guard the 3-point line.
Karango on the wing. Nice find of Jordan, who drew the foul on Handy. With Miller being double teamed on the near block, somehow he found Jordan on the far block, and what looked like a dangerous pass got to him easily.
We've seen some terrific interior passing all evening long. Guys in the post, you know you're going to get double teamed. So important for you to be able to find teammates, whether it's a guard spotting up or one of your other post players on a cut.
Antoine Jordan calls Baltimore, Maryland home, but he has lived in many parts of the country because his father was a Marine. And certainly gleaned some toughness out of that when your dad's in the Marines.
Another freshman into the game, Paul Williams. That combo of Haddix, Jordan, and Williams will be the most productive scoring combo, freshman combo in Siena history.
David Bennett. There's Williams out to cut off Bennett and help force the turnover. Here comes Mitchell on the leak out from Karango, and the layup is good.
Well, Tommy Mitchell, a guy who's playing great basketball coming down the stretch, has really upped his numbers. Averaged a little over 4 points per game last year, now up over 13 points per game. Always brings energy and enthusiasm.
And his lack of recognition on the All-Star teams. Drew a lot of attention up in Albany. But every team has somebody they felt should have either made one of those teams or gotten higher. Here's Justin Miller, strong to the basket, 4-2.
Paul Williams able to block off the defense to allow the wide open lane for Miller.
Bennett again, double team, tries to step through it and can't do it. Carl Hood realizes his teammate was in trouble and calls a timeout for the Red Foxes. And obviously the scouting report is to chase Bennett with 2 men, and with Siena's length, they're able to bottle him up.
Yeah, their overall size. You look at their guards. Karangwa at 6'7", running the point. Mitchell a good 6'3", Jordan 6'4". So they've got size not only inside but out on the perimeter. One of the reasons why Siena, one of the best defensive teams in the league, second to Fairfield in field goal percentage defense.
Siena jumped to a 9-0 lead. Now the lead is 10, their biggest margin so far.
And that's been their MO, especially through the second half of the season. The Saints have gotten out to a bunch of leads in their last few games.
Siena was picked in the preseason coaches poll as the 5th best team in the conference. They finished 3rd and the number 3 seed with a 12-6 league mark, 18-9 overall. Marist is 13-15 overall. Ellerby misses on the 3. Hood tracks down the rebound.
The thing with those predictions, you wouldn't have been able to predict that Haddix would get as much done or that Mitchell would step up his scoring. So sometimes those early season predictions, especially with freshmen or guys that didn't do much the year before, it's hard to realize what type of improvement they're going to have.
Here is Tommy Mitchell. Whistle off the ball against Siena. Brent Snezik called for the elbow. That's his first and the second against Siena.
With his big body, he seems to find fouls all over the place. He's had foul problems all season long. Talk about a big body, huh? Run into him, you're bouncing off.
He was recruited late in the process by Providence. A couple other Big East schools were involved, but he had already committed to Siena and wanted to stay close to home. 7 minutes gone. Saints 15, Red Foxes 5. Young, the turnaround is good.
He's been aggressive, and they've put the basketball in his hands after a very quiet night against Canisius with just 6 points. He's gotten 3 touches and shot attempts here in the early going.
Junior tri-captain from Warrenton, Georgia. Here is Snezik. Karangwa swings to Austin Andrews from the corner. That's his MO, Austin Andrews for 3.
All season long, he's given them 3-point shots. Instant energy off the bench. Over 43% on the season from beyond the 3.
Eric Siegrist is in the game for the Red Foxes. This is him with the ball, number 31. Ellerby pulls up from 15. Off the backplate, Williams picks the rebound out of the air, and here comes Mitchell. Hesitation. Pass back, though, stolen by Siegrist. Long pass up for Ellerby. And Siena gets back with numbers. Young from the high post. Connects. 18-9.
Continues his aggressive offensive play. This time not inside, but on the trailer at the high post.
Young averages just under 10 points per game. He's got 4 of the 9 for the Red Foxes. Andrews with a deep 3. Karangwa gets the long rebound, goes right back up with it, and his first 2 of the night come on the jump shot.
Gets the long rebound because he's so long. It's 6'7", just over top of people.
.17 to go first half. Siegrist step back. Rainbow jumper off the mark. Williams will track it down. Karangwa, Mitchell, Williams, Andrews, and Snezik. It's Eppheimer on the low post trying to bang with Snezik. Andrews again. Obviously feeling it. 2 out of 3 from downtown, and the Saints on top by 14.
Terrific start for Siena once again. Andrews coming off the bench. 2 for 3. His one miss was from about 26 feet, so he right now certainly feeling it.
Austin Andrews, 43%. He was among the national leaders earlier in the season. His minutes have been reduced, but he's always a threat when he gets in there from outside.
And Segrist a little late coming out, and that's a scouting report. You got to know that Austin Andrews is going to come in and fire away. You got to get out and force him to put the ball to the floor.
I can bet you that Eugene Burroughs and Steve Sowers and Dave McGarity had that in their scouting report. Segrist, Bennett, Hood, Young, and Eppeheimer. 10:51 to go first half. Siena by 14. Bennett guarded closely by Jamal Jackson, who's come off the bench. David Bennett pulls the trigger and hits.
They're going to need his deep three-point shooting to open things up inside. Over 35% on the season from beyond the three-point line.
And we talked last night, Rob, as Sneezik is fouled by Young, got him on the arm. Bennett missed the regular season finale at Niagara with an ankle injury, but clearly has recuperative powers in the last week to be able to come back and play so well. Reached double figures last night in the win over Canisius, and we have seen no lack of mobility so far here tonight.
He made a couple big plays coming down the stretch, as you see Sneezik's numbers, doubling his point production from last year. But he struggled in the first half, did Bennett last night, but made a couple key plays coming down the stretch.
And we'd like to take this opportunity to say hello to our viewers along the MSG network as we wrap up our coverage on a Saturday evening in Trenton, New Jersey.
He called it glass.
Called glass. Looks like a swish in the box score. Timeout on the floor. Siena with a 25-12 lead over Marist on the MAAC television network. Fans, the 2003 MAAC Hockey League Championship is coming to West Point March 21st and 23rd at Army's Tate Rink. All session passes affordably priced at $12 a piece. You won't want to miss any of the action. For ticket information, call 877-TIX-ARMY. A couple of the youngsters here in Trenton on a late Saturday night, checking out some March Madness just after 10 p.m. Again, thanks for all of you who have joined us throughout the day. We'll be back with you tomorrow at noon with the women's championship game, and then tomorrow night, 6 and 8:15. The first semifinal for the men has Niagara versus top-seeded Manhattan, and then the nightcap will have Fairfield against the winner of our ball game here between Marist and Siena. Right now, it's been All Saints. They lead by 13. Paul Williams blocked the shot. The Red Foxes looking for a goaltend, but they are not going to get the call. The outside official, Gene Manji, said it was clearly on the way up.
Red Foxes continuing to try and get something done inside with Dennis Young. Takes the contact, and that one was close. Williams active and athletic there. Young freshman who's got a tremendous upside to his game.
Foul on Haddix is his first. Young gets the roll.
Coming into the season, it was Paul Williams who people expected to have the type of season that Mike Haddix has had. Came in with a lot of notoriety, a lot of Big East attention in the recruiting process late.
Midpoint of the first half, 25-13. Jamal Jackson holds. Here's Antoine Jordan. The leaner from the foul line is off the mark. Andrews saves, but David Bennett has it for Marist. The senior guard going one-on-one right to the basket. Missed it with the left hand. Dennis Young. And then Segrist saves it to Eppeheimer. Carl Hood around Williams to the basket strong, and he gets the roll.
Now, terrific move right there. Carl Hood, another one of these young freshmen, a guy who didn't get any attention as far as an all-rookie team, but has really stepped it up as of late. So many good freshmen this year throughout the year here in the MAAC.
We'll see another one that we've not yet seen in the tournament tomorrow night. Mike Konovalchik on the all-freshman team for the Manhattan Jaspers. Williams missed. Hood with a rebound. Red Foxes on a 7-2 run to try and inch their way back in it. They're down right now by 10. 8:52 to go first half. Segrist works on Andrews. Young pulls the trigger. Williams with the rebound.
And credit the defense of Siena to take away any ball reversal. Young forced to take a shot he probably didn't want to have to take.
Jackson off the head fake. Back out to Andrews. Jordan tries the far baseline. And the Marist defense doing a nice job of cutting off every path to the lane, and Young with the rebound off the miss by Andrews.
Yeah, good closeouts to shooters and able to cut off lane.
Bennett, quick pass to Eppheimer. Jackson is going to be whistled for the foul.
Eppheimer, the senior captain for the Red Foxes. As we said, their leading scorer on the season. Ended up making third-team All-MAAC. And a guy that's just steady and consistent, puts up his numbers. Terrific standstill shooter.
Brandon Ellerby back in for Marist with the inbound to Bennett. Bennett's almost sly like a fox as a Red Fox. You almost get the sense that he's trying to lull the opponent to sleep, and he's going to pull that trigger.
That's what he did that time that the shot clock was running down. All of a sudden he makes you think that there's some more time, and ball's out of his hands before you know it.
We've got a timeout. 25-15 Siena on the MAAC Television Network. HSBC is proud to sponsor the HSBC Family Section. HSBC salutes the MAAC and tonight's families in attendance here in Trenton. HSBC, the world's local bank.
Right now for Marist, it's Carl Hood, the young freshman, keeping him in the game. Nice kick out right there to find Eppheimer. He knocked down the three, and then the nice drive and finish right there with his left. He's given them energy off the bench tonight, coming off the 20-point performance last night.
And again, it's kind of curious as to why Carl Hood was replaced in the starting lineup, because he has been instant energy, and there he is with the head coach who made that decision to start Brendan Copes. Copes did play the first 4 minutes since that time. We have seen Hood come in and really make a difference. 7:40 left to go first half. Marist with the basketball down 25-15. Siegrist watched by Miller. Handy from the corner, barely nicked the iron. Bennett tried to grab the rebound but lost it out of bounds. Siena basketball.
Handy has struggled in this building. Did not shoot the basketball well last night. Comes up short on that attempt. This from a guy who knocked it down at over 50% from beyond the three-point line on the season.
Siena 9 of 18 from the floor so far tonight. Marist 6 of 18. There's your difference in the game. Karangwa back in at the point. Andrews trying for his third three, but he can't get it. Ellerby with a weak side rebound. Bennett fouled by Karangwa. The hand check foul is his first.
Bennett stretches the defense with his three-point shooting ability. Again, in transition, Marist spots up around the three-point line. You're used to running back and trying to defend in the lane. It's a different adjustment. You got to find shooters in transition against the Red Foxes.
Siegrist went against the grain to find Eppheimer open in the corner, but he missed it. Karangwa slows things down. 6'7", 195-pound senior from Montreal, number 3 for Siena. Averaged 17 points, 6.5 rebounds, 5 assists per game, but there is a turnover, and Siegrist turns it into 2 at the other end.
Able to anticipate the cross-court ball reversal, dives through and gets himself an easy layup.
Siegrist is high energy, a transfer from St. Bonaventure to Marist. Junior from Poughkeepsie. Mitchell looks for a clear out, gets a screen from Miller. Back to Justin Miller. Shot clock at 6. Mitchell with the leaner. Sneezik the weak side rebound, missed the putback. Karangwa with the tip in.
You've got to find somebody and box them out. Siena just too active and aggressive on the offensive glass.
They come in waves. Right now, the lineup on the floor for Siena, Tommy Mitchell is the only guy under 6'7". Andrews 6'9", Sneezik 6'10", Miller 6'8", Karangwa 6'7".
The extra pass right there again, getting themselves into the lane, draw and then kick it out. Ball reversal gets the open look. Eppheimer's got deep range.
He has hit a couple of three-pointers, now has 6 points. Senior from Pottstown, PA. It's a 7-point game. Andrews guarded back in midcourt by Siegrist, and he is called for the foul. And Joe DeMeo has heard enough. The official heard something from Siegrist to make him stop dead in his tracks, take 2 steps in that direction. And now DeMeo is making sure Mr. Siegrist goes quietly to the bench after picking up the foul. Dave McGarrity's club on the floor. Eppheimer, Hood, Young, Bennett, and Ellerby. Miller flashes to give some relief. 5:15 to go first half. Siena by 7 with the basketball. Karangwa backs it out. Guarded by Bennett. Karangwa has it knocked away by Ellerby. Here come the Red Foxes. He's got Hood on the right. Oh, blocked by Sneezik, who's called for the foul. Foul number 2 against Brent Sneezik.
You see the athletic ability of Hood, though, out in transition. It starts with the good defense by Bennett. That allows Ellerby to come up with the strip. And here comes Hood. He's flying hard to the goal and gets a hard foul right there by Sneezik.
Got him with the body, and so Sneezik has 2. Hood at the line. Williams will come back in for Siena. Sneezik will check out. Carl Hood, a freshman from Houston, Texas, averages 5.5 points per game. He's already got 6 off the bench for the Red Foxes, and they've pulled back within 5. 27-22 Siena. Under 5 minutes to go in the half. Ellerby called for the block. He and Mitchell collided near midcourt.
Well, Ellerby, knowing it was a big defensive possession, got down and slapped the floor. Looked like he had pretty good defensive positioning there, but instead getting called for the block.
Well, these 2 teams are the best drawing teams in terms of attendance in the conference, and you can clearly feel it. Even though we're down here in Central Jersey, both teams well represented by the fans who have driven down from upstate New York.
They've made the drive, so they're going to be just a little bit louder than usual. You can hear them from both sides, and they're going back and forth at each other.
Yes, they are.
Not just the teams on the floor, but the fans in the stands.
And there are some of the students who came down from Poughkeepsie. The 6th man, as you can read on their T-shirts. And at the McCann Center, they provide a tremendous home court advantage. Williams traveled. Lowered the shoulder to try and clear out Eppheimer, but in so doing, shuffled his feet.
That's the thing he's got to work on. Upper body strength. At times, he doesn't have the strength to finish inside for Rob Lanier.
Siegrist uses the pick from Eppheimer and puts it way up and didn't get anything. Eppheimer tried to save it. Karangwa comes away with it for Siena.
Siegrist has that funny release. There's too much arc on his shot. It's up there forever.
Young with great anticipation to knock that pass away, but Williams got it back for the Saints. Here's Miller on the post. Tries once, tries twice. Third time was not a charm. Turn it over to the Red Foxes. 4 minutes to go in the half. Eppheimer on the baseline, and Williams got a piece of him for the personal foul. That's the 8th team foul against Siena, so we've got a 1-and-1 coming up for Eppheimer, who is an 86% foul shooter.
Dave McGarrity talking to Handy on the sidelines. Handy struggling to find a range in this building. Didn't play well last night. It's been a non-factor again so far this evening.
And Handy is a guy who really has ability. Started at Brigham Young University, played for the Cougars, and then eventually wound his way to Poughkeepsie and the Marist Red Foxes. Meanwhile, Eppheimer at the line, the top weapon for the Red Foxes. 17 points per game. He had 17 points and 11 rebounds in last night's victory over Canisius.
talk about his steadiness. Each and every year he's increased his scoring numbers. Scored his 1,000th point a couple weeks ago against Canisius in their Western New York trip.
And his biggest outburst this year, 31 at LaSalle in a non-leaguer. He gets a couple from the free throw line. He's got 8. And the Red Foxes have made a game of it. Back within 3. A timeout with your score, 27-24 Siena on the MAAC Television Network. This game is brought to you in part by Coach USA, the best way to see New York City. The New York Lottery. New York Lotto gives you 2 games for $1, so play today. Hey, you never know. I love New York. Show your love for New York State. And by Continental Airlines. Work hard, fly right. Here's our Broadway Marketing mind-bending trivia question for tonight's nightcap. Broadway Marketing mind-bending branded solutions. Who was last year's tournament MVP? 2002 MVP. And you can guess by the banners and by the teams playing in this game, it's going to either be a Red Fox or a Saint. And if you know anything about the tournament history, you know Siena won it last year, so figure it out from there.
It's an easy one. You go to 2002. I mean, we're going to go back to the 80s when we're going to stump people, huh? Not much mind-bending or mind-boggling about that one. Seems like recent history, just yesterday, huh?
Tommy Mitchell, Prosper Karangwa, Justin Miller, Antoine Jordan, and Paul Williams out there for the Saints in their white. Justin Miller doing a little acting. He and Dennis Young banging bodies. Miller tipped it. Jordan lost it out of bounds. Marist gets it down 3 with a chance to tie. This is the closest Marist has been since that first 3-pointer by Tommy Mitchell to begin the ballgame.
Well, they've weathered the storm somewhat from Siena, a team that's gotten out to great starts here in the second half of the season. They've climbed back into it.
And even though the Red Foxes have not shot well, only 36% they're right in this ballgame.
And the pace has been to Marist's liking as well. This is Siena team in this 5-game run here coming down the stretch who's been scored it in bunches.
And Hood ties it up, 27 apiece. The Saints once led by 14. It's now deadlocked.
And the 3 continues to be a big weapon for Marist.
Whistle and a foul. Segrist is called for it. He and Justin Miller. It seems like Mr. Miller for the Saints always tangling with somebody.
He's banging inside both ends of the floor. Marist a 17-4 run to get themselves back tied.
That'll get it done, and it looks like Segrist may have a little blood on his chin. And if that is the case, which it is, he has to go out. And Segrist has a few words for Mark DiSteola, the official who seems somewhat indifferent. Yes, Justin Miller has some blood on the back of his jersey as well.
They don't see that, so he stays out. The officials see that. He'll have to come out to get the blood off or in New Jersey.
Missed the front end after that 7th team foul against Marist, so no bonus. And now Marist with a chance to take the lead. 27-27, 2:35 to go first half. From Trenton, New Jersey, the MAAC quarterfinals. Young posting up. Miller with a block. Young gets it back. Miller called for the foul.
And he was determined to get a shot off. Didn't matter that they were doubling in. Sometimes you can't predetermine what you're going to do. Guards dump in, kick it back out to the open shooter. But Young continues his aggressive offensive play.
First on Miller, 9th on Siena. Young will shoot 2. Dennis Young only a 56% foul shooter. But the junior from Warrenton, Georgia will get a couple of shots here.
He's had an up and down year here in his junior season. A lot was expected of Young. You see his body right there, so big and strong, yet at times he doesn't get enough done in on the low post.
But he gives the Red Foxes their first lead of the night at 28-27. 6 points for Dennis Young, who takes a seat and is duly congratulated by his teammates. And into the game for the first time, Eric Sossler, a 6'3" junior walk-on from Central Valley, New York. And he, after the turnover, couldn't get it from Mitchell.
So Dave McGarity going to his bench, getting some walk-ons into the game as if his team needs a little added energy and enthusiasm.
Paul Williams with a layup to put Siena back on top, 29-28. Well, you don't see many walk-ons in this day and age getting any minutes whatsoever, let alone starts, let alone serious minutes when the game's on the line.
Let alone in a conference tournament game, right? I mean, maybe you get in early in the season, but going to walk-ons here late, obviously this is a very emotional game, and he's trying to ride some play from his walk-ons to create emotion.
Hood for three, no good. Williams the rebound for the Saints. Siena in their home white uniforms. They are the number 3 seed here at the MAAC tournament. Marist the number 6 seed. Karangwa calls a play with 20 seconds on the shot clock. 1:16 to go in the half. Williams lost it on the way up. Bennett dribbles up for Marist. Still with the dribble. Has it knocked away by Jordan. Here comes Karangwa. He's got Mitchell on the left. Karangwa, though, right to the rim. Missed it. Great defense by Hood to take it away.
And Marist has numbers.
Bennett back to Eppeheimer. His pass, though, deflected, and here comes Tommy Mitchell. The track meet from one end to the other. And the dunk.
Oppenheimer was looking for an assist on the kick out. Instead, it turned into an assist to the wrong team. Tommy Mitchell took the pass from Oppenheimer, scored it at the other end.
Almost looked like arena basketball.
Yeah, bouncing off the boards.
Back and forth, Karam off the wall. Still in play, keep running. 30 seconds to go in the half. Marist down 3 with the ball. The shot clock is at 15, game clock at 25. Bennett holding. Miller and Mitchell chase, and Mitchell commits the foul with 6 seconds on the shot clock. That's the first on Tommy Mitchell.
And you can see once again the game plan. When Bennett comes off the high screen, they look to double to try and force the basketball out of his hands.
But committing the foul 40 feet from the basket with 6 on the shot clock was not what was in the plans for Siena.
You got to be aggressive, but you've got to play good, solid defense without fouling. Fouling is not good defense.
David Bennett gets the first. 6'1", 190-pound senior tri-captain from Salt Lake City.
Shockingly missed his first 2 foul shots. 90%.
It is madness here in March.
Throwing up the brick signs from the student section underneath the basket. They don't realize he's a 90% foul shooter, especially after he clanked his first 2.
That's right. Siena will look to get off a shot before the half on top 31-30. Mitchell right to the basket for the easy layup.
Now the quickness, aggressive play to get deep into the lane.
Bennett with 1 second. Eppeheimer, and he can't get a shot off. Siena will go to the locker room with a 3-point lead. It was once a 14-point game. Tommy Mitchell with the late burst as the Saints take a 3-point lead to the locker room, 33-30, here on the MAAC Television Network. Siena's once 14-point lead is down to 3 at the half, 33-30 over Marist. Here in our final quarterfinal game of our Saturday tournament action here in Trenton. Welcome back, everybody. Along with Rob Kennedy, I'm Doug Sherman, and Siena jumped out to that huge lead. It looked like, well, it's going to be a blowout. Not so fast. The Red Foxes come right back.
Well, they knock down some threes, they weather the storm, and they get themselves right back into the ballgame.
Meanwhile, for the Red Foxes, they have in David Bennett and Nick Eppeheimer a couple of guys playing with desperation. They're seniors. They don't want it to end here tonight.
And another freshman, though, that gave them good energy, and Hood off the bench. He's the guy that started it, but again, those 2 seniors and their ability to knock down 3-point shots, a key factor in the first half, expected to be the same in the second.
Okay, let's take a look at the tournament brackets here at the 2003 EUS Communications Basketball Tournament, brought to you by GHI, and 3 of the 4 slots are filled for the semifinals. Tomorrow night, Niagara will play Manhattan at 6 o'clock. Fairfield, the number 2 seed, will take on the winner of this one, and so far the tournament is pretty much gone according to form.
And they've also been close, good competitive games. We've been lucky. We've had no blowouts, and once again, this one looks like it's going to be a good one coming down the stretch.
First half highlights and first half statistics still to come. We're at the half. 33-30, Siena leads Marist here on the MAAC Television Network.
Great.
Siena 33, Marist 30 at the half. Back at Sovereign Bank Arena in Trenton, New Jersey. The tournament back here in the Garden State for the first time since 1989. Glad you could join us here on MSG. And we told you about the earlier action. Now let's show you about the earlier action. Here on the men's side, some of the quarterfinal action. Niagara played Iona. Mathis and Darden helped the Purple Eagles jump out, but then Iona's outside combination helped to keep the Gales close.
Oh, the young freshman guards started knocking down some threes, got themselves back into the ball game. This was a game all game long where it was the outside strength of Iona against the inside strength of Niagara.
But then Courtney Fields missed a bunny. Turnovers became a problem, and Tremel Darden was tremendous, if you will. Tremendous.
And he ended it with that. That was the seal.
Then the second game, Fairfield against St. Peter's, and the defensive presence of Deng Gai and Ajo Deng early set the tone.
Well, set the tone defensively, and then a team not known for making their three-point shots stepped up and made huge threes throughout the game. Even the big guys, centers stepping out. Ajo Deng and Deng Gai both had a couple threes. DeWitt Maxwell from the deep corner. It was the three-point shooting and defense that moved Fairfield into their semifinal match.
And we've got much more to come tomorrow. The women's championship between the top two seeds, the Lady Jaspers and the Saints at noon. And then the nighttime session, the men's semifinals, Manhattan against Niagara and Fairfield against the winner of this one. That brought to you by JetBlue Airways. It's not the only way to fly, but it should be. We're at the half. Siena leads by 3 on the MAAC television network. Well, it's been a long day for some here in Trenton. I am guessing he's either a Marist fan or maybe a St. Peter's fan, or one of his teams didn't win, and it's been a long day for the guys in the truck. We've only been here for the last 3 games.
This is easy. We've got good games. You know, when you got good competitive games, you got to stay in it. Come on, don't be sleeping out there. Wake that guy up.
But the crew is staying sharp at 10:40. We've still got another half of basketball, but in the meantime, let's show you let's show you our
Come on, get into it. Wake up, huh? We're going to show you some stats.
We got to get him a get him a soda or something. Get some caffeine in him. First half stats brought to you by FYE for your entertainment, music, movies, games, and more.
Well, Marist got to feel lucky. They shot just 36% from the floor, yet trail by only 3 because they've been able to get to the foul line. You see 12 foul shot attempts for the Red Foxes to just 5 of Siena.
When we come back, first half highlights. Siena versus Marist. The Saints on top of the Red Foxes 33-30. The winner of this one goes on to tomorrow's semifinals of the MAAC tournament here on the MAAC television network. This game is brought to you in part by Broadway Marketing, mind-bending branded solutions. By the New York Lottery. New York Lotto gives you 2 games for $1, so play today. Hey, you never know. I love New York. Show your love for New York State. And by Continental Airlines. Work hard, fly right. Here in Trenton, New Jersey, Siena with a 3-point lead as we're just about to get the second half underway. There we see the winner of this year's New York Lottery MAAC Scholar Athlete Award. It's Phil Cavo, a Siena sophomore from New Hartford, New York. He's an English major with a 3.68 grade point average. The New York Lottery will provide a new computer. In fact, they have done that already with Cavo's elementary school back up.
Sent him to the bench and neutralized him. And it was Tommy Maddox who was able to pick things up. Tommy Mitchell out in transition, and then Carl Hood, the young freshman, able to step up, and he was the guy that got things started. And Nick Eppenheimer able to knock down the deep 3. Marist with their 4 threes in that first half to climb back into it.
Did you see that kid commit the foul? He popped his friend in the head there. We need an official up in the stands. Late night for the youngsters. Late night for everybody.
There's another guy who looks worn out.
Although, as we mentioned, these are the 2 top drawing teams in the league, Marist and Siena, and a lot of the fans have made the drive down from upstate New York. Siena averages about 7,500 per home game at the Pepsi Arena. Marist in that 2,000 to 3,000 range at the McCann Center. 2 top drawing teams in the league.
And how about Siena drawing over 100,000 fans for their home schedule? First time in school history. Also set a record, as you said, nearly 7,500 fans a game, a little over 74. I mean, those are some incredible numbers for a mid-major program.
The Marist bench, led by Mr. Hood, was instant offense and helped to cut into that 14-point Siena lead and make a ball game of it. And we are set for action. David Bennett inbounds to Brian Ellerby. They start in the backcourt. Hood gets the start here in the second half instead of Copes, along with Young and Eppeheimer. The Red Foxes with the ball in their red uniforms with the white lettering and black trim. The Saints are in their home whites with the green lettering and gold trim. Miller, Mitchell, Haddix, Jordan, and Karangwa on the floor for the Saints. And three for Hood, just like that. We're tied at 33.
And again, he continues his fine play here in the MAAC Conference Tournament. Gave him energy off the bench. This time gets the start in the second half, and we're all tied up.
Marist in the man-to-man. Mitchell pulls up, a little bit short. Karangwa knocked it, but Young with the rebound. Here comes Hood, and he'll dribble back out. Mitchell gives Ellerby some room. Walking violation against Dennis Young.
Young, not a guy that gets much done out on the perimeter off the bounce, and you can see why. Shuffled his feet, trying to do too much. He's got to get inside and post up. That's where he's going to get things done, not running around out on the perimeter.
He is capable. Young's career high came back on January 10th against Canisius. He scored 22 points, but so far tonight, just 6. 33-33, Siena with the basketball. Here is Haddix. Spins, shoots, and scores.
That's what he did at the beginning of the game until foul trouble sent him to the bench, just sitting down inside in the low post. That's what we're talking about with Young. Get inside and get things done.
Here's Young from 18. He hits.
Oh, maybe not. Maybe that's why he's standing around outside. He's knocked down 2 face-up jumpers.
But he didn't have to do it off the dribble. That's the difference.
No, he's not a guy that can break you down off the dribble.
Haddix spins to the baseline. Missed it that time. Hood with the rebound. Pulled it away from Jordan.
Well, Hood gives him that athletic ability. You see right there, going over top of people to corral the rebound.
Bennett misfires. Mitchell the rebound. We got a couple of very athletic Texans on the floor, one for each side. Miller fouled by Eppeheimer. But Tommy Mitchell and Carl Hood, both from the Lone Star State, and both with some mad hops.
Both guys that cover a lot of ground, quick out on the perimeter, and as you said, some good hops. How about a 41.5-inch vertical for Tommy Mitchell? Here's that step back. Nice face up from about 17 by Young.
Marist fans always on Justin Miller. He's hearing it from the line.
That's what happens. He had a 17-point performance in the win against Marist, and 8 rebounds. When you put up numbers like that, you bang people around as much as he does.
And he's the other guy, along with Karangwa last year, who really stepped up his game in the postseason. He had a big MAAC tournament and really established himself as a solid player in the conference.
Had 14 points and 11 rebounds in the MAAC final, the win over Niagara to send Siena into the NCAA tournament.
And he followed that up with 14 against Alcorn State in that NCAA tournament opener. Hood pulls up and connects. Marist on top by a point.
He's hot right now. Gets a lot done in transition, out on the wing. Now all of a sudden stepping back and hitting threes. Had 10 threes coming into the tournament. Stepping back, making shots as if he's done it all year long from beyond the 3.
Marist's only other lead before this was at 28-27 late in the first half. Miller takes the air ball and gets his shot rejected. But we've got, well, a foul against Siena. Justin Miller picks up the personal. So Young with the block shot. And Miller, perhaps in a bit of frustration, picks up the foul. Miller's second and the first against Siena here in the second half. And again, it's Miller defensively having to chase Hood all around the court. That's a tough matchup for Miller. He commits the foul, and Hood will go to the line to shoot 3.
And again, this is a guy who made 10 threes on the season coming in. He's stepping back. He's made 3, and now he'll have an opportunity to get 3 more from the line. I mean, he's stepping out beyond the three-point line like he's been doing it all year.
Just a tough matchup, and Miller with 3 personal fouls now. And I would imagine Rob Lanier is going to try and find somebody on his bench who's a better matchup. But when Marist goes small, this could be the problem that Siena faces. Having enough perimeter defenders.
And they're forced to go small because Handy hasn't gotten anything done. Shut out in the first half. He's been a non-factor. Certainly the smaller lineup has been a lot quicker. They've created those matchup problems you've been talking about. Here comes some help. Get a much quicker guy in Austin Andrews to try and defend against Hood as Miller takes a seat.
Meanwhile, don't look now, but Carl Hood is putting together numbers that will give him strong consideration for the All-MAAC tournament team. And one of those coming out party type of weekends.
Yep, the freshman, 20 last night. Another big night. He's now got 18. Some pretty good back-to-back numbers.
This from a guy averaging 5.5 per game coming in. So far, he's averaging 19 a game through the first 2 games of the tournament for the Red Foxes. Tommy Mitchell misses the pull-up. Hood again, the man with a rebound.
He's all over the place.
4-point Marist lead. The Red Foxes with the ball, and Hood gives it off to Eppeheimer.
Mitchell nearly came up with the steal. The quickness. He's down on the floor. Good hustle to recover and get back into play.
We talked about Handy being quiet while Hood has stepped up, although he misses that one. Marist basketball, Haddix lost it. We've yet to really hear much from Prosper Karangwa.
He's been very quiet. Had one put-back basket early on, but it's been Hood who's been making a lot of noise, and he's got the Marist fans making noise as well. He's given them terrific energy.
And there again, the larger man having trouble on the perimeter defense. Ellerby draws the foul on Andrews.
Now the small lineup for Dave McGarity paying dividends.
First on Andrews, third on Siena. And now Jamal Jackson, the only other small defender on Siena's bench, will come in, although it's Mitchell who goes out. But Jackson will be a much better quickness matchup on Ellerby. Here's Bennett guarded by Jordan. Just over 4 minutes gone here in the second half. Marist has taken a 4-point lead. Bennett into Handy, working on Haddix, missed it, and Haddix with the rebound.
Can't get a better look than that. They pounded inside. Handy continues to struggle.
From downtown, Karangwa missed it. Haddix with the offensive rebound. The putback misses, but we've got a foul on Nick Eppeheimer.
That's what Haddix has done all year long, getting it done on the backboards. As we said, coming in 3 straight double-figure games, double-doubles in both scoring and rebounding for the young freshman. Dave McGarity getting a workout on the sideline, the big guy down there.
Second foul on his leading scorer, Nick Eppeheimer. And Haddix, we talked about a little bit earlier. Folks at Siena think he's going to wind up breaking all the rebounding records. Be considered at the end of his run as the best low-post player in Siena history. Like I said, Steve McCoy and Lee Matthews are considered 1 and 1A right now, but Haddix is well on his way. We've got a timeout. 15:30 left to go. The Red Foxes of Marist have a 3-point lead over the Saints of Siena here on the MAAC Television Network. Marist and Siena going head-to-head as we take a look now at our answer to the Broadway Marketing Mind-Bending Trivia question. Broadway Marketing Mind-Bending Branded Solutions. Last year's tournament MVP from Siena College, Dwayne Archbold. And he was the leader extraordinaire on that club, who now is playing pro ball in Belgium. And Prosper Karangwa has been handed that throne of being the senior leader this time around. And if Siena's going to make a run in this tournament, it's going to have to be Karangwa being the catalyst, as we talked about at the top.
The catalyst from the point guard spot, but he's also got to give him some scoring.
So far tonight, Karangwa 2 of 6 shooting. 4 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. Ellerby lost it. Here comes Karangwa. They've got numbers. Jordan with the finger roll. And the Saints are back within a point.
Well, right on cue, Karanka comes up and makes a play. The steal at the defensive end, and unselfish in the open floor to give it up for Jordan.
Jordan's first field goal. He has 4. Just over 5 minutes gone here in the second half. Handy on Haddix. It's an air ball. Jackson the rebound.
And Handy get nothing done inside.
Jordan back out Karangwa. Andrews. This time Eppheimer gets right out on him. And now the Saints will reload.
And Haddix has post-up position against Handy. He was trying to get Karangwa's attention.
Begging the senior captain to feed the post. Ten on the shot clock. Jackson uses the screen. Goes through the legs to the basket. And he gets the roll and one. Handy with the foul. And the Saints on top. And chance to add to that lead.
Rob Lanier subbed Jamal Jackson in to give him some defensive quickness. He gets a little offensive quickness right here. Gets himself into the lane. The slap from behind. Fights through the contact. Averaging under 2 points per game. So he's above his average with 1 shot.
Well, Jackson was expected to come in from junior college this year and take over the point guard duties for Rob Lanier's club. But he has struggled and seen limited minutes. He completes the 3-point play. Siena 43, Marist 41. The Saints back on top. 14-10 to go in regulation. Eric Siegrist, after getting his chin bandaged to stop the bleeding, is back into the game. Eppheimer can't get the roll. Rebound Haddix.
That was a deep 3 and a guarded 3. Andrews with a good closeout.
Mitchell for 3.
Well, that was right in rhythm. A deep 3 as well, and no closeout. Wide open look as he stepped right into it.
Mitchell, the first player for Siena into double figures with a dozen.
So an old-fashioned 3-point play and a deep 3.
Traveling violation against Hood. And since Jamal Jackson came into the game for the Saints, things have picked up, flowed a little better for the green and gold.
A combination of that and Handy coming in off the bench for Marist slowed them down. Young was playing well, and Handy gave him nothing off the bench.
So Handy's back to the bench and Young back in.
OC and a run.
Karangwa fouled before the shot along the baseline.
And it was his defensive play that got them started initially. Karangwa, the senior, does just a little bit of everything. You look at his numbers, 17 a game. At one time, he was leading the team in scoring, assists, and rebounding. Until Haddix stepped up for Rob Lanier late in the year to take away the rebounding title.
Now, we've talked about who may be the next MAAC player to get into the NBA, and some people think that Karangwa will get an opportunity to at least go to an NBA training camp this summer. Having played for Team Canada for 2 years, he certainly will get a look. Hood with the foul on Haddix. And you talk about tough matchups, that's a tough one on the low post for Hood, trying to keep a guy like Haddix, who is so efficient on the low blocks, away from the hole.
Efficient and strong. I mean, that's a guy who uses his body, likes to create the contact to find the defenders. Hood with career nights back-to-back just about here in the MAAC tournament.
That was his first foul and the 5th against Marist here in the second half. 5-point Siena lead, the Saints with a basketball. The winner of this goes to the semifinals to play Fairfield. And we've got
double foul.
Two fouls.
Young and Haddix. Double foul situation. Yep.
And on Young, that's number 2. And on Haddix, that should be 3, although the scoreboard has him now at only 1, but he had 2 at halftime.
And with the double foul, you go to the possession arrow, which favors Siena, so they'll keep the basketball.
And Haddix will go out. Rob Lanier not fooled by the scoreboard saying he has only 2. He knows Haddix has 3. And Brent Sneezik has come off the bench. Mitchell. Looked like Young may have gotten a piece of it. Here come the Red Foxes down 5. Hood guarded by Jackson. Sneezik called for the foul on the entry pass.
And what Young does is not only give him some points inside, but gives him a presence. Handy's not doing anything, so you don't have to worry about him defensively. You've got to worry about Young inside.
That's 3 fouls on Sneezik, and the 5th against Siena here in the second half. Siegrist with the rainbow 3 again. Jackson with a long rebound. Siegrist only 1 for 4 shooting so far tonight. Sneezik steps out to set the screen for Mitchell. Pick and roll to Sneezik, who finishes. 7-point Siena lead.
A nice play by Mitchell. He's the guy that makes it happen, although it does start with Sneezik's screen. You know, if you don't get a good screen, you're not going to get the roll.
Young wide open again from 18. This time he doesn't get the roll, and Jamal Jackson with another rebound.
And 1 and done for the Red Foxes as far as offensive rebounding.
Karangwa to Sneezik inside again. This time we've got a foul. On the floor before the shot, but that's the 17th foul against the Red Foxes. And so we've got a 1-and-1 coming up from Brent Sneezik. Third foul on Siegrist, and again the officials trying to take a break here, but Joe DeMeo is going to bring everybody back out because we've got a 1-and-1.
Always allows a couple fans, few rows back, to have something to say to the officials. They love it when they get in a situation where they mess things up.
Leather lungs from the folks behind us. Both sides, though. And you made the comment off air, it seems like there may even be more fans from Poughkeepsie than from Albany here. Sneezik missed it. Bennett with a rebound, and he calls a timeout rather than being tied up or the potential traveling violation. So this is a 30-second timeout. Dave McGarity questions what's going on.
He was upset. He thought there was a bump to force Bennett down to the floor. But instead, they'll have to use a timeout. Burn it right there.
Well, this copyrighted telecast of the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of the MAAC and MAAC Properties, a division of Host Communications Incorporated. And the folks here at Mercer County in Trenton, New Jersey have done a terrific job making this arena ready for this MAAC tournament. The banners are all over town, and this place really looks first class. You saw the banners hanging from each of the 10 schools in the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference, and again, the good folks at Mercer County have done a terrific job hosting this tournament for the first time.
That's a beautiful facility, not a bad seat in the house, perfect size for the MAAC tournament. Pretty good crowd last night, a little lighter here this afternoon.
Again,
and
with
this evening.
Ryder being the closest team and the host school, the hope from the league's perspective was that the Bronx would win at least one game, maybe two, stay around and hope that the folks here in the Trenton, Lawrenceville, Princeton area would come out and support their hometown team. But as it's turned out, that is not the case. And, well, the Red Foxes have gone cold with, as you see, no field goals in a while. I wonder if that guy's got a jump shot. If he did, I bet you McGarity would have him in there.
I don't know if those guys have jump shots, but they were in that little layup drill, one of the promotional contests they had.
Drawing the wrath of the Red Foxes fans.
They won the contest and then turned around and got the crowd going.
They got the whole shtick down. They do the same routine at the Pepsi every game. 11:45 on the clock. Siena with a 7-point lead. Marist with a basketball. Brandon Ellerby back in at the point for Marist.
And here's where they need either Bennett or Eppheimer to step up and start making some shots.
Young steps up and hits. He's got 10. And the Red Foxes back within 5.
And 8 of those 10 have been face-up jumpers from the 15 to 17-foot range.
Miller back in. Backdoor pass Karangwa. Nice body control to catch, land, and put it in.
You move without the basketball, and nice job by Miller to find him on a nice cut.
6-4 Karangwa. Siena's lead is back to 7.
And that's where his size as the point guard really comes in hand.
Sneezick whistled for the foul. Again, we have seen Siena's defenders doing that right along the help defense on the perimeter, and Sneezick picks up another foul that way, his fourth, and we have ourselves an officials timeout. We'll take a break with 11:03 on the clock. Siena 50, Marist 43. We'll be back with more MAAC basketball after this. With 11:03 remaining in the second half here in Trenton, Siena leading Marist 50-43. The winner goes on to the MAAC semifinals tomorrow night against the Fairfield Stags. Well, the MAAC Rookie of the Year award was handed out yesterday. Let's take a look. Some of the folks rooting for the Saints here in attendance at Sovereign Bank Arena. Ellerby out to Eppeheimer. Oh, this could be a 4-point play. Karangwa with the foul, and Eppeheimer with a chance for more.
Eppeheimer has the range and the size at 6'7" to shoot over top of people, even if it's another 6'7" guy running out at him in Karangwa. See a good step beyond the 3-point line. Nice looking shot. He's got the opportunity for the rare 4-point play.
Foul number 2 on Karangwa, the 7th against Siena. That's a 4-point play. Eppeheimer with a dozen. 3 different Marist players now in double figures. Hood has 18, Eppeheimer 12, Young with 10. And they're back within 3, 50-47. Paul Williams hands off to Tommy Mitchell. Mitchell goes to the right, puts up a wild shot. Nice defense by Segrist not to foul. And Marist down 3 with the basketball.
Well, Mitchell got himself out of control. He was more worried about creating contact. Instead, should have just got the basketball back out and reset.
Mitchell so far is Siena's only double-figure score. He has 12. Eppeheimer lost the dribble. Able to get it back. Shot clock at 12, and a timeout called by the Red Foxes. And Marist has just 1 timeout remaining with 10:02 left on the clock. And again, that 1 timeout that we had called by David Bennett about 5 or 6 minutes ago would be the one you'd look back at and say, well.
Exactly. They've taken a couple timeouts to save possession as opposed to taking timeouts to stop runs.
Well, the MAAC Rookie of the Week we showed you was Keedron Clark. How about the MAAC Player of the Year? For that, we go back to the Manhattan Jaspers.
Inside while shooting 60% from the floor.
That was Juan Mendez winning 6th Man of the Year. And back to live action. Siena off the turnover. Jamal Jackson, along with Austin Andrews, Tommy Mitchell, Prosper Karangwa, and Justin Miller.
So they waste the timeout to save the possession, and then they give it right back with the turnover.
9:33 to go in the half. Ellerby has his pass stolen by Tommy Mitchell, who breaks away and dunks it.
Well, textbook denial defense, gets out with his opposite hand, able to come up with the steal, and then finishes at the other end.
Mitchell's had a couple of those. He's got 14 points, a little better than his season average, and Siena's lead back to 5. Holding foul against Siena, Austin Andrews.
Want to get out, deny on the wing. Here you go. Tommy Maddox gets a steal, and then out ahead of the field. We saw him with a one-hand dunk in the first half. This time, thinks about the one-hand dunk and says, you know what, I better be safe and finish with 2.
Maddox comes back in. Miller goes out. Eppeheimer, who just had a 4-point play a moment ago, at the line shooting 1 and 1. He will get the bonus. Dave McGarity taking a look up at the scoreboard high above the court here at Sovereign Bank Arena.
Perfect 4 for 4 from the line. Nearly as perfect from the field.
.14 now for Eppeheimer. 52-49, the lead back down to 3. Jamal Jackson at the point for Siena. Karangwa guarded by Bennett.
Jackson at the point. It allows Karangwa to be a lot more aggressive offensively.
Andrews blocked by Young. Bennett with a rebound. He's tied up.
Traveling call, and Dave McGarity not happy with that one. Saying, how in the world do we not get a foul call with all that contact?
Inbound to Karangwa. Mitchell. Drop it off Andrews to the reverse. Rebound Ellerby. Down 3. Here come the Red Foxes. 8:35 to go. He couldn't tie it. Tried, but could not. Jackson and Ellerby wind up in a heap, and it's Ellerby who's going to be called for the foul.
And bad decision by Ellerby in the open floor. It's one thing if Bennett or Eppheimer spots up from 3 in transition. Instead, too quick by Ellerby.
And then he compounds it by picking up his 3rd foul. You certainly can understand, though, knowing that you're down 3, feeling like you want to be the guy that ties it up. But you're right.
With his quickness, break people down off the dribble. Hesitate, and then try and get yourself inside. If he gets into the lane, maybe you kick it out to a teammate for 3. Don't settle for that first shot.
Instead, Jamal Jackson will shoot free throws. We got a 1-and-1 coming up. That was the 8th team foul against the Red Foxes. Siegrist comes back in, and Ellerby will take a seat. Eppheimer with the rebound. Still a 3-point game. Siena 52, Marist 49. Siegrist back to Young from 18. This time short. Siegrist tips it to Hood from 3. He can't tie it. Mitchell with the rebound. And Tommy Mitchell dribbles up himself, goes right to Jackson, and the lay-in is good.
And that's Siena's pace. They want this game up in the high 70s, low 80s. It's been more to Marist liking here. But when Siena can get out and run, that's when they're at their best.
And this is the first extended minutes and positive contribution Siena's gotten out of Jamal Jackson in a long time. Young misses. Karangwa with a rebound. Left-hand pass to Haddix, tough to handle, and it goes to the sideline. Haddix saves and calls timeout. The pass by Karangwa a bit high and to the left. Haddix had trouble handling it, but the Saints saved the potential turnover by calling a timeout. (54-49). Siena leads Marist. 7:36 left to go here in the second half.
Marist settling for jump shots. They're a good jump shooting team. The last 4 or 5 possessions, though, nothing happening with people trying to get themselves into the lane.
Well, this is our final game here tonight, but we'll be back with you tomorrow. Schedule brought to you by JetBlue Airways. It's not the only way to fly, but it should be. The Women's Championship to be decided at noon. The winner of the Saints and Lady Jaspers game will go to the NCAA tournament. The other likely goes to the WNIT. And then the night session has the men's semifinals. Top-seeded Manhattan against 4th-seeded Niagara, and 2nd-seeded Fairfield against the winner of this one. And if Siena were to win, all of the top seeds would have made it through, according to form. Red Foxes trying to crash that party. Karangwa directs traffic. Offensive foul. Forearm shiver sent Bennett flying, and Karangwa picks up the foul. And that's the 3rd on Siena's senior captain. And the 9th against the Saints. And now we have an officials timeout. We'll step away from Sovereign Bank Arena here in Trenton, New Jersey. Siena with a 5-point lead over Marist on the MAAC television network. 54-49, Siena with a lead over Marist late in the second half. And now let's take a look and find out who won this year's 2003 MAAC Player of the Year.
From Manhattan College, Luis Flores.
With Rob Kennedy, this is Doug Sherman back at Sovereign Bank Arena. The quarterfinals winding to a close. Only 7:19 left on the clock, at least in regulation. We had an overtime game yesterday that St. Peter's won over Rider. That was a thriller. We've had a couple of competitive games already here today, with Niagara beating Iona and then Fairfield eliminating St. Peter's. Eppeheimer for 3, and once again we've got a 2-point ball game.
And great execution coming out of the timeout. First offensive possession, they're able to screen in for the 3 for Eppeheimer, get the lead back down to 2.
He has 17, Hood has 18, Young with 10. Meanwhile, Siena still with only one double-figure scorer in Tommy Mitchell.
And Eppeheimer's a catch-and-shoot guy, so you've got to execute, run him off screens because he can't create for himself.
Siena goes right back inside to Haddix, who has been their money man. He now has 11.
And he is a guy that can create for himself once he gets touches inside on the low blocks.
56-52 Siena. 6:25 to go, and the turnover. Jordan with the steal.
Nice defense by Jordan. Then it's got to keep him honest, show the basketball, force him to guard him. Instead, he allowed him to back off and come up with the steal.
And Siena uses a timeout. Rob Lanier wants to talk to his Saints as they try to hang on to what was once a 14-point lead. That was way back in the first half. Siena led by 3 at the intermission, 33-30. The Red Foxes have fought back to take the lead twice, but at the moment, Siena with the upper hand, but only a 4-point cushion on the Red Foxes. Well, you know, we've been keeping track of the statistics right along, and by and large, Rob, there's nothing that really jumps at you other than the fact that Marist has not shot particularly well. But beyond that, most everything else pretty even.
Pretty even. I mean, one of the keys for Marist was to hold their own on the backboards. They've done that. Siena with a slight rebounding advantage. Both teams have taken care of the basketball fairly well, especially Siena with just single-digit turnovers. But you're right, the only thing that jumps out is Marist just hasn't made shots, 34% from the floor on the game.
Although Eppeheimer has hit a couple of big threes, one that turned into a 4-point play in trying to pick up that pace.
Those 8 threes have kept Marist in the game, along with 14 foul shots.
Haddix kicks it to Andrews. Jackson back out to Andrews. Wild pass. Mitchell able to track it down. And with 7 on the shot clock, Mitchell missed it, but Andrews pulls the rebound down, but Ellerby took it away. Here comes Marist. Eppeheimer, the trailer, drops it off for Young, but the offensive foul. Haddix drew the charge. That's the 3rd on Eppeheimer.
And Eppeheimer again, a catch-and-shoot guy when the defender runs at him, forced to put the basketball on the floor. Right here, one dribble and pull up instead. Trying to be too creative. Haddix doing a good job holding his ground. Good call by the officials.
Jackson at the point, Karangwa at the 2. Mitchell on the other wing. And Andrews and Haddix out there for Siena. 5.5 minutes to go. $15 seconds on the shot clock. Karangwa still with the dribble. Around Eppeheimer into the lane. Puts up a tough shot. Rebound Haddix. Missed the putback. Haddix again gets it to go. That's 13 points for the freshman from Philadelphia.
He's a monster on the offensive glass. He scored that one flat-footed. But again, his effort on the glass gets him the 2 points.
Ellerby gets the roll with just under 5 minutes to go. It's a 4-point game once again. For Ellerby, that's his first basket of the game. He averages 11 per game, and then the reach-in foul against Ellerby, and Dave McGarity is absolutely beside himself. He walks all the way to the end of the Marist bench and goes back again. So Jackson will go back to the line for the 3rd time here this evening. He is 1 for 2. And Jackson putting together a decent stat line again for somebody you don't expect a lot of points from. He has 5 points and 4 rebounds, no assists though, but he has helped to come in and steady the ship. Brandon Ellerby back out. Jackson 0 for 2, but Haddix Johnny on the spot once again.
And mental breakdown there by Dennis Young. He didn't box him out, and all of a sudden, hey, if you're standing next to Haddix, put a body on him. He's too good a rebounder.
That's 15 for Haddix. Mitchell has 14. Siena's lead back to 6. Dennis Young working on Haddix, and we've got a blocking foul against Haddix. That is his third.
Young trying to make up for it at the offensive end. You saw him right there in your screen pointing to his head saying, I forgot to box out. Not a smart play right there. But that's the 4th foul on Maddox. Aggressive on the offensive end. He's been such a big factor.
You're right again. Scoreboard still has it at only 3 for Haddix, but he does have 4. So I do believe the Siena coaching staff has that knowledge, and Rob Lanier has a tough decision.
Looks like he's already got Miller at the scorer's table to check in.
And indeed, that is going to be the move. So the strategy is put Haddix back on the bench, at least for a short time, and bring Miller back in. So protect Haddix for a little bit. With the 4 fouls, they want their main man inside back on the court just as soon as possible. Young gets 1 out of 2. He's got 11 points. It's a 5-point game. Siena on top with the basketball. 4:18 to go. You can just feel the tension mount. One of these teams is going to have its season come to an end here, perhaps. I say perhaps because if Siena loses, the Saints have hope of getting an NIT invite. Andrews for 3. Way off the mark. Out of bounds off of Siena. And it's Marist basketball when we come back. We'll step away with 3:51 on the clock. Siena's lead is 5. 60-55 over Marist here on the MAAC Television Network. This game is brought to you in part by the Pepsi-Cola Company, the joy of Pepsi. By GHI, healthcare coverage from A to Z. HSBC, the world's local bank. And by FYE for your entertainment, music, movies, games, and more. Siena holding on to a 5-point lead late in the second half of this men's quarterfinal. The winner tomorrow moves into the semis. Now Manhattan's head coach, Bobby Gonzalez, honored yesterday. Let's take a look. Make his debut coaching the sidelines. We get to see his act tomorrow night, 6 o'clock. The Jaspers, as the top seed, will take on Niagara, the number 4 seed, in the first semifinal. The second semi will have Fairfield against the winner of this one between Siena and Marist. And again, those games will be broadcast here on MSG Network. And for those of you joining us here today for quarterfinal Saturday, thank you very much for tuning us in. Our little slice of March Madness here in Trenton, New Jersey. David Bennett gets the shot to go. Lots of contact, no call. And the Red Foxes are back within 3.
And Bennett, the guy trying to create the contact. He's such a good foul shooter. He was just trying to get himself to the line. Instead, he gets the 2.
It's a 1-possession game with 3:13 on the clock. Mitchell off to Karangwa.
And offense execution is at a premium here, coming down in the last 5 minutes.
Shot clock under 10, game clock at 3. Mitchell pulls the trigger. Missed it. Young the rebound. The Red Foxes have a chance to tie once again. Last time at this point, Ellerby put up a 3. This time, let's see what he does. He puts up a 2 and gets it to go. It's a 1-point game.
He forces another one this time, though it goes in, but he didn't settle for the 3. At least he's using his quickness to get by one defender and create.
Fans from Poughkeepsie chanting defense. There is some defense. Mitchell is tied up. It'll be Siena basketball on the alternating possession.
Here's this nice move by Ellerby, aggressive in the lane, able to get the basketball off the glass.
Lob into Karangwa. Nothing Bennett could do on that one. They put it up by the rim, and the 6'7" Karangwa laid it in easily.
We talk about half-court execution. It includes baseline out of bounds. They get a free one there. Nice play.
8 points for Karangwa. 2:05 to play. Eppheimer backing down Mitchell. Put up the shot. Short. Good seal by Haddix to keep Young away, and Mitchell comes down for the rebound.
And that's a force by Eppheimer. He's a catch-and-shoot guy trying to make things happen. That's not his game. He's a guy that's not going to beat you off the dribble.
Siena calls a timeout, 32nd timeout, and so Dave McGarity takes the opportunity as well to set his defense. It's a one-possession game. Siena on top, 62-59.
Eppheimer, the senior, you know he's trying to make plays. He doesn't want this to be his last game, but you have to settle down and allow the game to come to you. Don't force things, especially if you're not a guy that's going to be able to create.
And on that last shot, Tommy Mitchell did a good job, in spite of giving up 3 or 4 inches, of getting the hand up and making it that much tougher for Eppheimer, who, as you see right now, getting a reassuring word from his coach. Dave McGarity had his arm around the shoulder. Meanwhile, Rob Lanier diagramming what he wants out of this half-court offensive set.
And expect Haddix to get a touch inside. When they've needed big baskets coming down the stretch, he's been their go-to guy inside.
The 2 freshmen back in Jordan and Haddix, out there with Mitchell, a sophomore, Andrews, a junior, and Karangwa, the senior. You see each team with 1 timeout remaining. 1:50 on the clock. Mitchell, blocking foul against Ellerby.
And that's a bad call right there. You can't defend any better than that. Ellerby, with his quickness, able to get himself to the baseline. A bailout right there. I don't like that.
Well, you could see Mitchell had his mind made up.
Yep.
Regardless of what the defense was doing, he was driving baseline.
And that's an easy one. When a guy turns the corner and gets his shoulder down and creates the contact, you usually send it the other way with the charge.
And so the Red Foxes on that play have lost their point guard. Brandon Ellerby fouls out with having just scored 4 points. And you see the dejection there. Meanwhile, the rest of the team has to go on. 1:47 to go.
And Dave Bennett, a guy who handles the basketball a lot for this team anyway, he'll have to now put it in his hands to try and create. And also, Segrist coming in. He's a guy that can handle it as well.
All right, let's take a look at today's Pepsi Slam of the game. The man at the free throw line is the man responsible for our Pepsi Slam of the game. Pepsi, the joy of Pepsi. And Tommy Mitchell right now with 14 points, trying to add to that. He and Haddix both have 15 now to lead the Saints.
Mitchell's had a couple dunks because of his good defense, getting out and denying in the passing lanes, allowing him to finish it at the other end.
2 for 2. Mitchell's good at the line in the top 10 in the conference. The lead is back to 5, 64-59.
There's where Siena really has to guard the three-point line. Here's the double team off the high screen again.
Bennett finally finds Eppheimer.
They didn't want to take another timeout.
Bennett with the runner. Jordan is tied up. And now we've got a whistle and a foul against Bennett. That's the second on Bennett.
And Marist disjointed on that offensive sequence. As soon as the double team came off the high screen on Bennett, things fell apart.
And so back the other way, Siena has 2 free throws upcoming for Antoine Jordan. 74% on this is freshman year. As we told you, Siena came out of the box like gangbusters. They jumped to a 9-0 lead tonight. Led by as many as 14 early. But then Rob Lanier saw his club give that lead away. Marist fought its way back to only a 3-point deficit at the break. Siena has led for the most part here in the second half. 1:20 to go. Eppheimer. Back to Segrist. Inside Young, working on Haddix. Young connects. Back to a 5-point game, 1:10 to go.
They don't settle for the 3. Instead, punch it inside, see if you can get a quick 2. Still enough time here, even though you trail by 5. Now once the shot clock starts winding down, don't give up the foul now. We're down to 20, play it straight.
Segrist with under 20 on the shot clock. Like you say, play the defense straight. Game clock at 47, shot clock at 12.
Either give up the foul right away, or if you get deep into the shot clock, can't foul.
Mitchell for three. It's off the mark. Jordan with the rebound.
And now you're forced to foul right away.
Game clock is at 37.6 as you see. And Jordan will get a chance back at the line. Fans down from the Capital District of New York State starting to sense it, but still plenty of time to go.
Now Siena, a team that gets it done on the offensive end. Huge offensive rebound that possession.
Eppheimer with his fourth foul. So if you need to commit a foul now, you don't want Eppheimer to be that guy, because he's the guy you're going to need on the floor to get a three-pointer off over the defense.
And clearly Marist going to have to knock down some threes if they're going to make up the 6-point deficit.
Jordan taking care of business at the line. He gets 3 out of 4.
Still a 2-possession game.
67-61. Bennett fouled by Mitchell before the shot. And so Tommy Mitchell picks up his second foul. Bennett will shoot 2.
Bennett out of a cannon. I mean, how fast is he going up the floor? Hardly any time comes off the clock.
And that was the perfect scenario for the Red Foxes. Stop the clock and get this guy to the free throw line. And presuming he makes them both, the Red Foxes will be able to set up their defense.
So much easier to get in the full court press off a made foul shot. Guys able to set up and get their defensive responsibilities set.
He does make them both. 9 for Bennett. And here comes the pressure with 32.1 seconds on the clock.
Zone press with Young on the basketball. Here comes the trap.
Mitchell tries to dribble around Siegrist. He dribbled it out of bounds. And it's Marist basketball.
That's why you want to get up in the full court press off the made foul shot. So much easier than off a made shot where people are scrambling.
Carl Hood with the inbound. Here's Bennett. Again, right to the basket. For the left-handed layup, it's good. It's a 2-point game. 67-65. The senior from Salt Lake City coming up big.
And Marist not panicking coming down the stretch. Able to get it down to a 2-point game. That's the last timeout for Marist. It's been Dave Bennett putting the ball to the floor and attacking the rim. Instead of settling for threes when you're down by 6, so many times you see people just throw up long, bad shots. Instead, get to the rim and make things happen.
Bennett now with 11 points. 4 Marist players in double figures. Let's take a listen, if we can, to Coach McGarity. Although now it sounds like Steve Sowers, the assistant coach, not really picking that up.
Well, setting up the defense, obviously they're going to be up in that full court pressure. Young was on the basketball, and they did a good job, both he and Siegrist, of forcing Mitchell to the sideline and then eventually out of bounds. If you don't come up with the steal right away, shot clock's off, so you're going to have to commit the foul. In that timeout, you're going over who we get a foul, all right? Andrews, the guy that shoots it at 59%. Miller at 63. See who comes out on the floor for the Saints.
It will be Austin Andrews as the poorest free throw shooter coming out for Siena. The other 4 are all 70% or better.
And he's going to be one of the guys to set the screen for Mitchell, so the basketball very well may end up in his hands.
Siena will look to inbound against the full court pressure. Pass comes to Mitchell, and he's immediately fouled by Bennett in the backcourt, and so Mitchell will go to the line to shoot 2. That's the 3rd foul on Bennett. And Tommy Mitchell, an 81% foul shooter, heads to the stripe so far tonight. He is 2 out of 2.
So the defensive pressure at Dave McGarity's team forces Siena to throw it over top. Mitchell with the quickness, able to come up with the catch.
Mitchell has 16 points. And it's going to be a 1-possession game. Marist is likely to get the ball back here down either 2 or 3.
And Mitchell stepped off the line. You got to stay at the foul line, finish the follow through. Remember, Marist has no timeouts left.
Mitchell makes it a 3-point game. So the Red Foxes down 3, 24 seconds to go.
Still enough time for a 2. 22 seconds is an eternity.
Bennett looking for the 3, can't do it. Eppheimer guarded by Karangwa. 15 seconds left in regulation. Siegrist.
Now you got to get a 3.
Hood back to Young for 3 in the tie. He's got it. 6 seconds to go.
Just his second 3 of the season.
And Karangwa dribbles up, but we've got ourselves a timeout with 5.3 seconds to go. The Red Foxes have come back on a 3-pointer by Dennis Young.
I mean, you got Eppheimer and guys like Bennett out there, and who is it but Young, a guy who's made a bunch of 15 to 17 footers. This time he steps it out another 2 feet. Just his second 3-point shot on the season, and I guarantee you none bigger than that. Right now his team got it all even again.
And the defense was basically begging him to be the one to shoot. What else were you going to do?
They did a terrific job guarding the 3 from Eppheimer, Bennett. Even Siegrist, when he touched the basketball, defender for Siena came running at him. And so Young, the unlikely guy to knock down a 3. Still plenty of time. 5.3 seconds. There it is. Stepped up as if it was supposed to go in. Looked good right from the get-go.
Well, the truth of it is, we expect Dennis Young to hit 17 and 18 footers, so it's not like he never goes on the perimeter, but you're right, he doesn't usually go outside the arc.
And he shot it very well tonight. A lot of his points have been from that 15 to 17 point range. Now setting things up for Siena. You want to make sure you put the basketball in either Tommy Mitchell's hands, who's so quick with the basketball, or Karangwa, a guy that can create. I think the officials trying to figure out whether or not there should be more than 5.3 seconds on the clock. So there'll be a bit of a delay to make sure they get the timing situation correct.
And while that delay occurs, the Marist Red Foxes will head back to the bench area to further talk things over. You can see the backside of the clock there when the ball goes through the hoop, and when they stop the clock, 6.1 was when it stopped, and right now we have 5.3 on the clock. So Gene Manji and Joe DeMeo trying to figure things out exactly, because right now tenths of a second matter a lot.
And in the confusion of everything that went on, it clearly looked like the clock stopped at 6.1, but did Siena inbound the basketball before they called timeout, or was a timeout taken before it came back in?
Well, if the ball was advanced to midcourt, sometime had to come off the clock.
Yeah, it should be less than 5.3 seconds if they're going to give them the basketball at half court.
And that's what Dave McGarrity's saying right now. It's either 6.1 and they've got to go the length of the floor, or it's less than 5.3 if they're getting it at midcourt.
You can't get from the end line to midcourt in 0.8 of a second. That's not going to happen.
So again, to reset, the winner of this one moves on to the MAAC semifinals tomorrow night to play the Fairfield Stags. The game is scheduled to begin tomorrow at 8:15. It'll be the second of our 2 semis. The first one has Manhattan against Niagara tomorrow.
I'll tell you what, we've had 3 great games again this evening. Last night we had an overtime game with the dramatic 3-point shot by Robert Taylor to send it into overtime. Who knows, maybe we got another OT.
There is Steven Sowers diagramming.
I think clearly you could see 6.1 seconds on the clock when the basket went in. Then it's a question of when did they get the timeout?
So Gene Manji looks up and says, we're all right with 5.3 seconds. And now Dave McGarrity is saying what we were saying. How on earth could they have moved the ball up that far in 0.8 of a second?
Absolutely no way. If that timeout's not on the baseline, how in the world do you get to midcourt in just 0.8 seconds? But now they're going to have to step up and defend.
Siena catches a break on that one. Here's Karangwa looking for the win with 3 seconds, 2 seconds. Karangwa puts it up. 0.4 of a second on the clock. The Red Foxes with one last opportunity. Eppheimer misfires, and Siena wins it 70-68. They've got a date with Fairfield tomorrow in the semis.
A little controversy. Clearly the timing situation at the end of the game. Karangwa's shot with just 0.4 of a second left. Dave McGarry is furious, and I think he's got a case.
On the flip side, Siena runs into the locker room with the victory. The sooner they get off the floor, the sooner this goes away for them. But clearly the Red Foxes feel like they have been wronged here.
And we talked about seniors needing to step up, and Prosper Karangwa, a guy, see him smiling again. He's happy, makes the big play. Fitting that the senior who's been through so much, so many expectations for him this season, he delivers when it counts most. They're going to advance on into the semis, and you've got the top 4 seeds waiting there. 1 versus 4 and 2 versus 3.
Well, it's gone according to form, so the Red Foxes season comes to an end. Dave McGarrity's club wraps up at 13-16, and you can see the absolute disgust on his face.
On frustration.
Let's take one more look at the final play where Prosper Karangwa went one-on-one in a tie ball game, and with 0.4 of a second remaining was able to get into the lane and knock down the shot.
And once he gets into the lane, here's where being 6'7" as a point guard pays off. Able to get it to go with 0.4 of a second left. Remember, Marist with no timeouts, forced to just throw it in, and Eppheimer's Heave had a chance.
Hit the backboard, had an opportunity, although with just 0.4 of a second. What's the usual standard? Well, we'll talk about it when we come back. Let's take a break. We'll come back and wrap things up from Trenton, New Jersey. Siena has moved on with a 70-68 win here on the MAAC Television Network. Well, it is March Madness. That's what they call it. And Siena wins it 70-68, a nail-biter where the Saints had a double-figure lead in the first half, led most of the second half, felt like they had it maybe in hand, but the Red Foxes just kept coming. David Bennett with consecutive big baskets to tie it up, but then Prosper Karangwa with 0.4 of a second left gets the game winner.
Wild finish, huh? Young, an inside guy, hits the 3, and now Prosper Karangwa, the senior, he gets the ball and now makes things happen again. Behind the back to get by the defender, deep into the lane, a runner no less. And again, the 6'7" size of Karangwa comes in handy as he got himself deep into the lane.
And then, as you pointed out, with no timeouts remaining for Marist and only 0.4 of a second, they really didn't have time to do much other than have Epheimer heave it quickly, hit the backboard, but it was off the mark. Our player of the game, brought to you by Pepsi, is Tommy Mitchell. Scored a team-high 16 points. Pepsi, the joy of Pepsi. So he's the player of the game. Prosper Karangwa, the hero of the game.
No question about it. And Mitchell's enthusiasm and defense was the guy that got things sparked there for Siena once they got bogged down.
All right, so we have only 4 teams remaining. Let's check the brackets. It's the top 4 seeds into the semifinals tomorrow night.
Can't ask for anything more than that, right? You've got your 4 best teams throughout the regular season. Now advancing on to the semifinals. We've had great games throughout the tournament. I think we're going to have 2 more great games tomorrow as well.
All right, that'll do it from Sovereign Bank Arena in Trenton, New Jersey. Thank you for joining us here. And let's take a look at all the great quarterfinal action that we had here today. Thank you for joining us. We hope to see you again tomorrow. The men's semis get underway at 6 o'clock and then 8:15. We had a little fun with the mascot basketball, but the reality of it was some pretty good March Madness in the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference. Tomorrow at 6, Niagara versus Manhattan. Then at 8:15, Fairfield against Siena. For Rob Kennedy and our entire crew here in Trenton, thanks for watching the MAAC Television Network.